Good now, revolutionaries. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show, the official morning show of the financial revolution, brought to you by Faceless Labs. It is always good to see you. Oh, man. I had a great question yesterday that I just can't wait to talk to Alex about. From our friend and community member, Tori, that just got my wheels spinning. Big time spinning. About whether or not meme coins, which are hot right now for speculative reasons, could have utility as a fundraising tool. And I've talked on my channel in the past, we've talked before about fungible and non-fungible tokens and their different use cases. I've talked a lot about NFTs for fundraising. But I have not talked or thought much about the viability of meme tokens for it. So I'm excited to ask Alex about it. I'm excited to hear what you think about it. I want to pick Will's brain about it. And of course, that's right, we're having Will back on the show today. So if you didn't catch Will last time, he's an awesome creator, coin_guide here on TikTok. If you're on YouTube, do yourself a favor, get over to TikTok, look him up, and while you're at it, why don't you join the Rise Up Morning Show Live? We're here every Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time so that you, yes, you can ask us your crypto questions. We are not going to tell you if we don't, we're not going to lie to you. We're going to tell you if we don't know something. We're going to help you find an answer. We're going to get you straight. That's what we do here. We call it Rising Up, and that's why it's called the Rise Up Morning Show, because when we get together and share what we know, we all rise up. You can also check out our videos on YouTube. You can sign up for our free email newsletter. It's got the best, briefest bullets from the show. And then join the free Discord community too, because it's so hard sometimes to interact via comments on TikTok when your characters are limited. And you've got such great character, we don't want you to limit your character to limited characters in the comments. There's Alex. Let's get him up here. Oh, my bandana looks like a villain's twisty mustache. Good morning. Nice.
Dude, I swear that when I first opened this, I was like, is he wearing a bib right now? Like, I don't know, the bandana and the way that the t-shirt was framed, it just made me think you were wearing a bib.
I have never tried a bib as a fashion accessory, but I feel
Dude,
like it would be one of those things that I would try.
I feel like if someone could rock the fashion bib, it would be you.
Rocking the bib, baby, rocking the bib. Are we in the bathroom with you today? Is that where we are?
Come on. No, we're at my coffee station.
I just couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. It looked like a gilded mirror. I don't know your house well enough to know the picture frames yet.
This is the beverage station, and that's the pancake portrait. So
Beverage station and the pancake portrait. Speaking of your house and beverage stations and pancake portraits, wow, Alex, it's been a great ride, but you are no longer the influencer in the family, bro.
dude, I know. I've been telling her this for ages.
If you have, what's Christina's handle? Because I'm about to just send it on the show.
Oh, she'll hate that.
Oh my gosh, it's so good, Alex. She's so good. I commented and said it. I said, this is, I was expecting it to be great. This is honestly so much better than I was expecting. Not because I was expecting it to be bad, but it's phenomenal. That channel is gonna blow up. She's gonna be the Keith Lee of crocheting, of coziness, and it'll be done.
I told her, there is no way that you will not be leave me in the dust.
Well, I'm glad she's got it because I think a lot of people will really enjoy seeing the stuff that she creates and hearing from her, and I just was so happy to see it. So I hope that it also looked like some intensive videos, like you guys probably spent a minute editing that, and so
Yes.
I hope it's not.
I
I
sure
hope
do.
it's something that can be sustained and you guys don't get burned out doing it because I do like seeing it.
No, they're fun. It's I've never gotten to, make a different kind of video like that.
Yeah.
I'm just very like, you're gonna listen to me
Right.
yammer on at you, and with her, you get to do a whole bunch of different, like try to set up this shot, imagine what this would look like, how's this going to look if you cut this together, kind of like, build a picture in my head about, what I want something to look like. It's very fun.
Trailer Park Crypto, I think you're trolling me in the comments. They said, "Hi, France." And then Robbie Ray said, "Monsieur." Oui. I don't, have you ever been to France, Alex?
Not in any major way. If I have, I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't know. I would have to ask.
Possibly when you were a youth kind of thing.
When I was itty bitty, maybe. I don't think so. Unfortunately, the time that we were going to take a trip and go to Paris was right before they had a pretty major catastrophe and the country was closed. So,
well, let me tell you, it's one of the places in Europe that I have been. It's like the only one. I would like to spend more time there, but I spent several days in Paris and did all the French things. I don't think I wore as many bandanas as I would have liked. I did have a mustache. And I fed, probably the most French thing I did was I fed birds from a stale baguette outside of the Louvre and wandered through the mazes. And it was marvelous. Will is here. And I see we've got some good questions already starting to roll in. So Will, come on up, man. And we're just we're gonna hit you right away. Now that the halving is here, we can talk about.
Will is going to be required to participate in at least a couple minutes of the foreplay before we get to it, though.
Oh, a couple minutes of banter. Well, I hope he's wearing something
banter.
French.
That's the word.
Oh God, wait, hold on, camera. Aha. I remember. Ooh, I can have an effect. No,
it happens. It absolutely happens.
No, nothing crazy. Sweatshirt, t-shirt, jeans. Sorry.
As you can see, I dressed up. So
no, you and I got the same memo.
We definitely
didn't get the bandana though.
No, man. Listen, I've got enough bandanas for everybody over here. I have to tell you.
That is true.
My bandanas haven't come out since the dark days of COVID.
Oh no.
Or when I'm base doing like a base spray paint on my Warhammer 40K minis. That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Now we're getting somewhere.
Right. I sensed your alert.
And like anyone, I'm like, it's always like it's like friendship test. Warhammer 40K, just casually mentioned once.
Well, Will,
Alex is taking
direct your attention to my Magic the Gathering supplies.
Oh, beautiful.
They don't make card carrying cases big enough, so I had to stack DeWalt toolboxes instead.
That's a nice supply. One of my close friends, he's in corporate America, but his side business is he runs a digital card store.
Oh,
and he focuses on Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon cards. He also does Dragon Ball Z cards too. So I remember he lives in Vegas, so we drove to this guy's house. We spent $3,000 on these two very, very, very special Goku and Vegeta cards. And then that day there was a conference. We drove to the conference and the English voice actors for both of them are there. We got them signed and we sold them collectively for like 15 grand after we got them graded. Yeah, because they're PSA 10s, which are perfects signed by the voice actors.
Wild.
He goes to Japan too, because the Japanese yen to the dollar is, everything's a penny, right? So he goes there and he bought a ton of One Piece cards because I'm a One Piece fan. I love the anime. And he comes back, he gives them to me. He's like, dude, I just bought these for you as a gift from Japan. Here you go, man. It costs him like $10. I'm opening the cards, and whenever I get cards, I look to see what their worth is. And I got this manga-backed red hair Shanks. And he was the one character I saw. I was like, oh, this is a good character. I just kind of threw it on the table, didn't think. And then I looked it up. The card's $2,000 to $3,000. And I was like, oh my God, get that off the table. Get it off the table. Get it off the table. I need to put it in a sleeve. I was like, yeah. It's fun.
I often joke to Alex that his what I call his Magic collection, his most valuable investment, his biggest bag.
Yeah. Sure. Well, the really interesting thing about Magic, again, a friend through that friend, we were playing Magic. This was like 2-3 years ago. I hadn't played since I was a kid. So I was relearning and all that. And this guy has his deck, and his deck is $86,000.
Yeah.
his deck, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, man, whabam! All right, yeah, whabam!" He's like throwing these cards down because the quality of the card doesn't matter. A Magic the Gathering card can be beat to hell and still be worth a ton of money. It's a really interesting market because all the cards are still super competitive. It's cool.
Yeah, if he's rocking any of the Power 9, that thing could be basically like, have the corner cut off and replaced with a piece of toilet paper, and the thing is
Yeah,
still...
exactly. It's cool, man. I always like meeting nerds. It's good.
Yeah, I thought when I first got into old Magic, I was like, I have a bunch of old cards. I think I would like to play Legacy. And I didn't know anything about it at the time, and I was like, yep. So I made a deck, and I went to a comic book store, and I was going to play in a Legacy tournament. And Legacy is code for money versus money. And it was like the first guy who came in for the Legacy tournament had his cards in a metal briefcase, like one stop shy of handcuffing it to his wrist, and opened it up, and I'll never forget. I got show and telled into Emrakul on the first turn, which is just he won with. I didn't even have a chance to like do anything, and the game was just over because it's just race to the combo, and whoever's deck costs the most just wins because there's $30,000-$40,000 single cards.
Yeah, there certainly are. Magic can be expensive.
Dang. I think I would like it. It's one of those things I would like to do if I had more time. It's a card game that I respect, but have not invested the time into to be able to understand or play competitively. And I was hoping that by being friends with Alex, it would just kind of rub off by osmosis, and I'd wake up and know it one day.
It is. It takes a lifetime to like master it, and we still. I mean, I've been playing consistently for more than a decade, and we still get in a knockdown drag out fight about the rules every single time because there's just some obscure card interaction that you have never encountered before.
Yeah.
And it's
all these cards that get like banned out of tournaments, and like one sneaks through, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Do they have like what is it in terms of competitive play? Are there any? I don't know. Is analogous to Pokemon? I play Pokemon tabletop competitively, and I feel like that's not terribly cutthroat.
Magic the Gathering is far more competitive.
Yeah, I believe it. I recently played Scrabble with a competitive player for the first time, and he made me. First of all, we used a timer on our turns, and second of all, he made me draw the tiles with my hand behind my back. It wasn't like he made me. It was a very friendly game. He was like, "Well, you should learn to play the rules."
At first, I was like, "Wow, this is like a really kinky game of Scrabble."
Yeah,
so hands are tied behind me. I was like,
it was wild, but I was reminded just like, oh no, there are many competitive board game tabletop situations where, like, in common parlance, we just don't play it that way. So I imagine Magic, whenever I see people playing, they're always using language that I don't know, and they're doing things I'm not quite sure of, and I always feel just a little too intimidated to ask. Alex is honestly the first Magic the Gathering player I've ever met that I've been like, oh, I could ask this guy a question. Kind of probably like crypto.
I'm worse than a lot of them. You should see. I try to try to keep it casual because unless you're in the specific setting to do it, no one wants to listen to someone just get all super spun up about it, and it's just not fun to play like that aggressively.
That's not fun to play like that.
Well, it's good to know you're a nerd like us.
Oh yeah,
I have not just crypto.
Spent way too much money on cardboard and plastic, and I plan on spending quite a bit more.
Oh yeah. Well, in the event that we're not just trying to blitz our poor unsuspecting audience with nothing but the wrong kind of nerd that they signed up for this morning. Crypto?
We can do it. This is the Rise Up Morning Show, so if you've got crypto questions, let us know. We see them coming in. We've got some good questions about Bitcoin. And I do want to say, because I see my friend Tiffany in here, that probably the most important thing you can do today, if you're watching the show on TikTok and you love TikTok, is take a minute to go bug your congressperson. There is time ahead of the vote. They're on Capitol Hill. They're gathering right now. Many of our content creator friends are there as we speak. They are lobbying our government. It is a long shot. It is a Tuesday, and therefore your voice is so needed. If you haven't, go to your local congressperson and send them a message letting them know how important this application is that it's a matter of free speech for you to have access to TikTok. If you're not hip to this fight, Tiffany's in the chat and is a leader in this effort and somebody that is sharing good information about it. So with that PS out of the way and all of my urgency behind it, if you love this show, love this kind of community, you could only do this kind of thing here on TikTok. Please support that effort any way you're able, most importantly with your voice. But also support with your participation here. We're here Monday through Thursday answering your questions. We only have Will on Tuesday. He's agreed to come back to the show. Can you believe it? So let's ask him some questions. Let's try and stump him and see if we can't get him back one more time.
Stumped.
The very first question I saw that rolled in this morning is, why hasn't Bitcoin gone parabolic after the halving? Who wants to take it?
Why aren't we billionaires?
Well,
why aren't we billionaires
it's
yet?
broken and it's worthless and it's a Ponzi scheme. That's why.
Can the devs do something?
I knew it.
Yeah, we all knew it. No, so there's a lot of different answers I could give towards that. One is historically around the halving, and there's no rhyme or reason as to when it starts, but there's a dip. It either starts beforehand and it leads into the halving, it happens right at the halving, or it happens a little bit after the halving, right? But there's a dip around the halving. We just had the halving. It's a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of situation typically. And that's what everyone's kind of like looking at the charts, trying to analyze, like, okay, are we dipping more? Are we dipping, like, so there's that's kind of pausing a lot of the continuous buying right now. And the effect of the halving on Bitcoin, right? When I say the effect, I mean the thing that we all want, which is when Bitcoin goes parabolic. That typically doesn't happen until 30 to 34 weeks after the day of the halving. So like the impact, the macroeconomic impact of the halving, it takes time for it to be reflected in price, right? So you have those things from a historical Bitcoin standpoint, but then also, in the world today, everyone right around the time of the halving and just beforehand, we had escalating tension with Israel and Iran. And that increases oil gas. If that increases the price of oil, which increases the price of gasoline, which increases inflation, which is the biggest, like, oh man, if that keeps going up, we're not going to get Fed rate cuts. If we don't get Fed rate cuts, then the market's going to tank because the market's been expecting Fed rate cuts. So if we don't get that, because gas is going up, because Iran and Israel are about to start a regional Middle Eastern war, oh my God, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to go risk off. So we had that happening, and now we made a new lower low on the chart for Bitcoin like a week ago, but seems like tensions between Iran and Israel are de-escalating. Which is good. Gonna knock on wood. I hope that continues. And now Bitcoin's kind of been climbing a little bit up a little bit. So that's the reason why Bitcoin hasn't gone parabolic right after the halving, because A, it never has. It's never how it's acted. And B, macroeconomic effects.
So you put out your kind of regular ETF inflow outflow update video. I didn't see yours from this morning yet, but have you noticed anything that suggests any deviation from the norm we were seeing before, on this side of the halving now, or have they not really reacted yet?
So I put out my daily update video just a little bit ago, right before I hopped on, and we got to basically I think it was $62 million of inflows yesterday. The day before that was $59 million of inflow. The day before that was an outflow of 4.3 million, and then we had outflows for like a week. So there's a little tiny bit more confidence in the market. Inflows increased a tiny bit from yesterday. The other thing that was nice to see, though, was that you really just had like BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK, and Bitwise as buyers, and then you had Grayscale selling. But now the other 5 ETFs that I didn't mention are all coming in with like 22 million or like 5 million or 7 million, whereas before they were just putting up goose eggs. So a little bit more confidence coming into the market, but not in like a really big way yet. I don't think we're going to potentially see that. I think we're going to keep going sideways until at the very least the end of this month, because that's when the Hong Kong spot Bitcoin ETFs go live. And there's a chance, very speculative, chance that ends up being a lot of inflows that breaks our sideways action that we've had since February and can send us up back to the highs.
Yes, it's interesting because obviously, inflows are inflows, And I don't know, I didn't have like a strong thesis when this thing launched. I don't really do prediction type content or any of that sort of stuff, just because I don't know. But I have been pretty pleasantly surprised with like the consistency of the inflow, like overall. I guess I sort of expected it to be a lot more days where there's just like no traffic at all, because we talked about it a ton, Evan and I, leading up to the ETF being approved, and kind of all through last year, we were talking about, like, think we're going to see this thing? Do you think we're not? Who's even going to buy this thing if it does come out? Because, the diehards are not going to want to do this or whatever. And then there's debate between whether or not, somebody who is into self-custodying of Bitcoin would ever participate in an ETF, just because, well, now they can through their bank. So maybe they could participate through their IRA or 401k or something, a vehicle that they've not been able to use with Bitcoin before. And maybe they didn't want to do the trust. Because I've owned some bits of the Grayscale trust in my Roth IRA before. But I think overall, I feel like I've been a little bit impressed with kind of, like I said, the consistency of the inflows compared to outflows. We're definitely tilted in the favor of, more in than out at this point, especially, granted, they're young, we've got time. They're still figuring themselves out, but yeah. I don't know. That's just my first reaction, I guess, to thinking, like, seeing where we are now and figuring out, we didn't just get a huge spike and then sort of, peter out for the whole rest of it. I feel like it's just been kind of, been burning in the background now ever since.
And it's wild to say that because the ETF has only been an available tool for a couple of months, a couple of weeks, if we're, really being honest, like a while now. We get so numb to the changing tides of news so quickly. I think people have a tendency to expect when there is a big news event in our space, because it moves so fast, for it to have a dramatic impact, even though while it is, the stat I've been looking at is like ETF flows. This is the most rapid, like, accelerated growth for any ETF upon release ever. Yet, like, the ETFs are a small portion of the Bitcoin in existence. They're not like a firm foundation upon which we stand kind of thing. And as you said about macro, the crypto space, like the amount of capital and attention that's here is just, it seems so consuming when you're paying attention to it, but it's really, it barely registers on the broad scale of what is happening in the world right now today. And like the chart of Bitcoin, it probably will trend up and to the right over time as people become more familiar with it, less worried about it, understand how to use it better and more. But I don't think that's necessarily a cause for concern. I think it's easy to get caught up in the pace of things here. Therefore, zoom out. The gut check video, I'm reminded of that. If you're feeling like that, why isn't it parabolic yet? That's a clue you need to pay attention to, generally as an investor. Whether the market is up or down, if you're feeling tense about what's happening, you could take a moment and benefit from, as part of your trading strategy, investing strategy, just kind of reevaluating, asking yourself some questions, asking people in your community some questions, just to get a check on what's going on. And if you want people to walk you through that strategy, Alex and I talk about it at length with regard to some of our losses and scary moments too. We just put it up on our YouTube channel. And actually, not to like pivot too hard, but Will, is there ever anything you do that you pay attention to? We were talking about just generally like how to reorient ourselves to the real world when the market is, doing market things. Do you have any signs that you, as somebody paying attention to crypto, is over leveraging their capital or their attention? Signs to do your own kind of gut check and reevaluate what's going on with you?
Are you talking from like evaluating the performance of certain parts of my portfolio, or if like the market's really going down, it's just like how you kind of center yourself?
Both.
Okay. Well, my answer to how I center myself is just lessons learned through pain and suffering, right? Like, yes. Eventually it's just confidence gained from experience. Like the first bull run of mine, I rode coins up and I was like, they're going to keep going up forever. And then I rode the whole bag down and I was like, oh my God, I'm the biggest idiot. But that feeling lasted for like, a year and a half of a bear market. And then you go through another market and you're like, oh, cool, this is behaving the same way. I can apply some lessons. I did better that time. That's great. And And now, like, when the market continuously swings up and down, and you see people panicking and saying Bitcoin's going to go to zero and it's dead and yada, 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 I just go, oh, I've heard this like 20 times now and I know the truth of things, so I don't care. And like, when I first went through my first bull run, I would be checking my portfolio like in the morning, where am I at? At night, where am I at? Like on my phone. And now I just go like, I don't care. Talk to me in like 2 months. Like I keep an eye on to see if anything I've invested in has like totally like exploded in a bad way. But otherwise, I just go, cool, I did my research. I believe it's fundamentally sound. I think the value is going to go up. I have a longer time frame. I'm going to go to bed. I got things to do. I got Pokemon cards to buy and Warhammer 40K models to paint. You know, I can't be bothered about crypto all the time. So, you know, that's my thought process there. But a lot of that just comes from experience, which gives me confidence. And I trust my research analytical skills for evaluating cryptos. So that's that piece. And then for the portfolio side, you know, if I find something that's like, I have a diversified portfolio, I think right now, personally, in my opinion,
so you got a pretty spread out smattering of currencies. I know you made a video not too long ago saying you were considering a consolidation of some.
Yeah,
impact.
I mean, like at this point, like a year ago, I had something like 20 coins, and now I have something like 13 coins. So like, you know, I just find a few coins. I'm like, cool. Like, I thought this was a hot coin. It hasn't been performing as well as other parts of my portfolio. So I'm cool with taking that and putting it into a coin I have more faith in. And I do that. So it's like, you know, I've started out the bull market with like 20 coins. Now I'm at like 14 or 13. And I'm probably going to end the bull run with like 9 or so. Right? I'm just going to continue to consolidate into the projects I believe in. And this way, like if I have some coins that are losers, I also have had some coins that have already given me a 20x at this point. And I just go like, okay, cool. I had these coins do great. These ones didn't. Whatever. That's why I diversified. I found some winners, and now I'm going to take my money and put it into strength. And that's the position you want to do when you're at the halving. You want to make sure you're in coins with strength. And that's what the whole purpose of 2023 was. Find the coins that have the strength. Halving happens. You're in a position to profit, assuming the 4-year cycle holds up at the end of the cycle.
Yeah. So I think that kind of naturally segues us into easily one of my most common questions that I get DM'd routinely. I'm sure you guys can relate. You know, the sort of simple, what do I buy?
I've got $1,000.
Yes, I have X dollars and I would like to invest. And I always answer the same way. And interestingly, I have only gotten, so out of the probably 50 or 60 of these I've gotten over the past 6 months or something, I've only gotten answers back to my follow-up question like 3 or 4 times. And it's like, it's impossible for me to say. It completely depends on your timeline, because if we're talking about short term, you can literally buy anything if you're trying to learn how to day trade. Pick a thing and learn with the thing. And I'm 100% not the person to talk to if you're interested in learning how to day trade, because I'm terrible at it. And if you're talking about long term, like what sorts of areas of the industry are you the most interested in? Has anything caught your eye? All that sort of stuff. So if you were to, and this is a big question, I totally recognize. So we can kind of pick a niche maybe and stick with it, or, talk about one of the narratives, because we've already had a number of them that have sort of popped off and had their, day in the sun, this go around. And I'm trying to remember some of the biggest niches, or Jesus Christ, narratives from last cycle. We had the metaverse cycle. We had, what did we have? We had NFTs obviously had their own entire run.
There were NFTs, there was metaverse, we had advertisement coins like basic attention token.
And honestly, real world assets was a narrative then too.
Yeah, it's always been a narrative. It's always been one. It's just, it's hotter now because Larry Fink has made some comments, as you guys know. And last cycle, let's see. L1s are always popular. You had Solana, you had Avalanche pop up. Solana was the best performer of like everything. And then you had like a little bit of memes with Doge and
we had DeFi, DeFi summer, like tokens. Anything and everything you could stake or earn LP on.
Interesting. The whole DeFi thing is interesting right now because I'm a big bull on the base chain ecosystem right now. Big bull, very big.
Are you with Farcaster? Do you spend a lot of time or no?
On what?
Barcaster, like Warpcast or
Oh, no.
Dracula. Oh, so you're into the on-chain analytics, but you're not really in the base ecosystem, man. Are you really
Yes.
enjoying base? Listen, the culture on base is wild. The
It is.
culture.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Well, how so? What do you mean by that?
And I didn't mean to shame you. That came out a little aggressive. I just mean to say base is booming. You're not wrong at all. And on chain for sure. But the real place to go on base to get the alpha is to spend time on some of the apps that people are building in and around base. Right now, there's a Twitter clone called Warpcast that just got its 200,000th user on 420. It's on the road to 1 billion users, and it's the first like crypto blockchain Web3 app that I have seen and said, yeah, that could have 1 billion users, aside from maybe Coinbase, in terms of the actual user experience it provides people. And the people who are there right now, like the signal to noise ratio is off the chart. You know how you can build proximity to people on TikTok or any other social media based on your interests? On Warpcast, the people who are there, it's like Jesse Pollock, who is employee number 1 at base. You can get in his comments and have a conversation with this guy. And he's actively posting there and talking and building. And the people who he works with are actively posting there and talking and building. You know, it's like hanging out with Vitalik online. If you want to get close to the alpha, it's the best place to find primary sources right now, in my opinion.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'll have to dive into that.
Well,
Yeah.
and when you do, you got to use my referral link because Alex and I have a competition going on. And I think actually you should probably use his because I think I'm winning. But
Yeah, give him a little help, a little friendly.
Evan,
but I didn't mean to. I really wasn't trying to pick on you hard, and I kind of derailed your thought. You're talking about, so you know, that's one of the narratives that you're seeing emerge is base.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. But what I was going to talk about is how DeFi trends have changed this cycle from last cycle. Because in
Sure.
DeFi last cycle, everything did well. You had decentralized exchanges, you had lending protocols, you had leverage farming. I don't think there were many leverage farming back then. Anyway, you had a bunch of everything DeFi did hot. But now today, you have decentralized exchanges doing really, really well that are hot. Jupiter, Injective, big update coming from Injective, by the way, with their tokenomics. Anyway, regardless, I sold my Injective. I'm not pumping my bags. And Aerodrome. Anyway, a number of decentralized exchanges doing really, 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 really well. But then lending protocols haven't really moved at all. Like look at Aave. I realized this when I was looking yesterday because I was trying to find some. Because I like investing in DeFi because I think there are just more metrics there I can analyze.
Yeah, big time.
Coin. And I was taking a look at Moonwell on Base, which is a lending protocol. It's like the go-to lending protocol. And I was like, I'm actually going to make a video on it probably later today because I'm like, I like this coin. But the price action sucks. I was like, and it's a lending protocol. And lending protocols are not in trend right now. So it's just interesting to see how like DeFi in the past to DeFi today, very different. Very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at least the biggest difference that I've seen is that, you know, when DeFi was newer, it was being talked about in an what I've found to be extremely unhelpful way in the, you know, for the most part. That you know, most people, like you said, there were leverage plays, there was a lot of like way overexposure to super, you know, high APY yield farms or high, you know,
No, it's
yield.
not too different today. It's not.
I just mean there was a lot of content that was just like, look, if you're not, you know, dumping all of your money into this because of this APY and farming this and then, you know, taking advantage of this. And I'm not seeing as much chatter, at least from the sources that I was seeing it from last time. And I feel like, and I know a lot of people, you know, were way overexposed to some DeFi stuff. And then the bear market kind of snuck up on us last time and we didn't get, you know, I said one of the reasons I got hosed last time was because we didn't have the precipitous drop off that people talked about, you know, that would have like shocked people into more of an immediate panic sell and might have escaped with a little bit more. You know, we had like a very slow measured bleed off from like November all the way down, you know, into the new year. And it was just slow enough to constantly make you think like, okay, well, it's going to rally one more time. You know, but if you compared it to the cycle before, there was just like this, we fell off a cliff and it was like, oh, it's over. But this, there was just like so much debate for so long, you know, is it over? Is it not over? Whatever. and everyone just bag held the entire way down, and got liquidated on all their stuff. And I don't know, I am not seeing the same type of hype around, you should be participating in DeFi as we were last time.
No, but I would say the niche community, it's gotten broader and it's gotten deeper. So like the journey to capture users, the people who were doing that kind of content or who were, they were kind of in a shallower pool before, and the pool wasn't as broad. So they could shout at each other and we could intercept what they were saying. Now they're down here. They're doing liquid staking derivatives with Athena, and they're speaking French to each other about why Aave shouldn't be allowed to delist other people's stable coins, and like such niche, deep topics that really matter if you're like in it. But most people are just like, we have the distance now. I think it's a good reflection of how our space has grown. But also how it has not grown, because like you said, Will, we've still got, DeFi farms popping up. We said the other day on the video, Cake is coming back, is making a resurgence. I see people using the pancake swap protocol and asking, what's the Cake token going to do? And I was like, oh my God, Cake,
Yeah. That hasn't showed up in my comment section, but I've seen some coins be like, what about this coin? And I'm just like, that was like 6 years ago. I was like,
yeah. Okay, but I think we got away from the original question, which is somebody sends you one of those DMs.
Yeah.
And like you're paying attention to what? Where is your answer directed if somebody comes in? Because we've had it a couple times in this chat too. I don't know where to start. What do I do? I've got $1,000. What do I invest in? What's your answer look like? Is that the answer, Will? Is pay attention to it, these particular narratives? This is what I'm looking at.
I'd say to take a look at what the 3 biggest trends are. Find your favorite in each one. Buy those 3. Hold for a year. There you go.
Why a year?
And like right now, that would be like, take a look at gaming infrastructure plays. Take a look at AI tokens. Take a look at real world assets. Take a look at decentralized exchanges. You have modular blockchains as well as a hot trend. And there's 5. There's like a few more out there, right? Those are some of the hottest trends. Then you have like Sui and Say, and I see ICP there. Like there are some other coins that have like a large social media following too, and a lot of people excited about them. So take a look at those. Give yourself a handful to research. Invest in 3 of them. And then also like this cycle too, there are meme coins also. Like 3 years ago, I'd be like, why is my future self saying a meme coin might be something you want to add to your portfolio? Because they are worthless. They are jokes. They are not real. They will fall like a rock in water. But you can't really mid-curve or fade meme coins right now because they're proven to make money. So, if you want to go into 3, you have $1,000 to take, 250, 250, 250, and then I can't do that math real quick in my head. So whatever money is left of that 1,000, maybe sprinkle into like 4 random meme coins as like your gamble, because maybe one of them pops off. Not all 4 of them are. And then that one that pops off pays and gets you back your money from the other 3, right? Those are just some strategies. This way, you at least have your toes in the water for all the major trends, right? That's a good way to do it.
I've been trying, Evan, to figure out how to most succinctly describe like the analysis that you would need to do to a meme coin to be able to try and determine whether or not you thought it had like cultural staying power or not, because that's truly the escape velocity that you are looking for in a meme, right? And all about the culture, because like Will said completely accurately, and I would never contest this, there is no substance there. What we're doing is we're trading on attention and culture and, fun, essentially, right? Like, we have found a way to monetize literally the metric of fun. And it's a really interesting dynamic because, Mark, I totally get.
I bought Pepe out of spite.
Yeah,
sorry.
I just saw that.
But it's interesting when you say it, because to be very honest, I used to be really, really opposed to even the idea of a meme coin in general, because I was like, no, rah, it's bringing discredit to the industry and this tech was not meant for this and whatever. And at the end of the day, the thing that I'm trying to figure out, is like, okay, there's got to be some sort of indication that like, this one is a little bit more of a behemoth, because some memes have found that staying power, no matter what. Is Doge really going to go anywhere? And granted, it's cheating because it was the first one.
Sure.
But then Shib came along. How many other, dog variants were there? Brett, big early mover on base. There's, of course, Pepe. There's a couple others that have like undoubtedly done all right. And really, I think I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but that's kind of like one of the things I'm trying to think about right now and try to figure out if I could like, summarize it up and just like put, my notes together, I guess, from what I've observed from like looking to the way people shill it on Twitter, because there's differences, there was a Solana meme, Ducko or something, Duko.
Okay.
And it's not important at all. But the reason I bring it up is because it had a really specific social media presence. It was like more aggressively shilled than almost anything else that was ripping during the time that Solana memes were really ripping. What was that, 3-4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, something like that. And it certainly didn't do the best. Like, it got outpaced by so many. And I always thought that was interesting, because if I go to social media and you're like, show me your favorite meme, 90% of those comments were just people with graphics done, screaming about Ducko from the rooftops, and the Twitter following was huge, but the price was garbage and like no one was doing it. And you just realize that like, oh, it's just like a bunch of salty bag holders trying desperately to get out of something. And that came across in the way that the culture was representing itself online. And there was just like a totally different vibe around like Pepe as a thing, even though people lost money on that. But like the way that it was talked about was just so different. So that's kind of what I'm trying to piece together right now. I feel like it's going to end up being some big meme thesis, that will be my, I don't know, my crown jewel of this bull run or something. But that's like one thing I really want to try to get a beat on, because like you said, Will, there's nothing makes money like a meme. When it rips, it rips.
Yeah. What I'll kind of add to that and maybe gives you some thoughts is, hey, you can't really do analysis for a meme coin, right? As we've settled, but you can try to put yourself in a better position. So like, you have all these different blockchain environments. So go to the environments where the money is going to. So Solana has a lot of money going to it. It has since 2023. And that's one of the reasons why Solana meme coins have had a ton of successful meme coins, because the money is sitting in Solana and it's easier for that money to slush around in that pocket and back it into that bucket, right? Back it. And then like base chain, we had Toshi do great. We had Bald Coin do great at first, and that ended up being a rug. And then we had Toshi do well, and now we have Brett doing great. And that's because the total money locked within base is increasing. So more and more money is sloshing around between the meme coins and all the other things. So you find where the money's going. And if you want to play with meme coins in the blockchain ecosystems that have the money. And I'll tell you this, I put $100 into like 5 or 6 different meme coins on Solana. And like one lost me like 30, another one lost me like 40, one made me like $20, another one made me like $300. But I bought PopCat with $100. It's worth $3,500 now. And the reason why I bought it is because I was like, ooh, PopCats. Cats are popular on the internet. I loved Pop-Tarts as a kid. $100. That was the entire thought process, and it was the best performing meme coin I had on Solana. And then today I still have Cocky Inu, because I think it's funny. And and I'm holding on to my Popcat, because I'm like, how much could this $100 be worth by the end of the bull run simply because I like Pop-Tarts? So that's it. So,
But you hit it on the head. We've said before, there is no analysis of a meme. It's, we said no data, just vibes.
Just vibes, man.
And
just vibes.
That's really all you can do. I think PopCat was one of those that is in my like list of anomalies, because it was so interesting, and it started exactly the same way that so many other ones did. And for some reason, after the 40,000x and the crater, it just kept going. And so many did boom, boom,
Yep.
And like, I don't know, it's interesting, because sometimes you look at one and you're just like, yeah, that's the one. What was the last one I looked at? Because I mean, my biggest one made no sense. Like Base Jesus made me like a 20x in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it like set me up for my entire meme bag. I put like, I don't know,
Your investment got raptured.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it made and the thing is gone. It's completely gone and dead and buried and never coming back. Market cap of $10 and all the liquidity is gone.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, because PopCat, I vividly remember the day PopCat launched, and looking at it, and I had the thought, I was like, okay, it's trending. It was like top 5. But a couple other big things were top in the top 5 and trending right now. I was like, nah, that's not it. And obviously super wrong. I don't even remember what I picked.
Clearly, your mom bought you toaster strudels instead of Pop-Tarts as a kid, because
Yeah, right.
otherwise...
I didn't get either one of them. Okay, Will.
This is my thing is we say you can't like research it. There's no hard, fast statistical, like technical analysis, but there are a lot of data points that I think we'll look back on and somebody will compile together and say, historically, like these are some trends that you can say emerge. And definitely within the no data, just vibes thing, the way that somebody who has high emotional intelligence can like receive and feed somebody to influence them, I really think people are more or less tapped into this. I think when people talk about like the community, for example, like how do you evaluate the community? I think you can objectively look into a Telegram group. And if you have spent enough time there, I don't know that anybody has a dichotomy for it, but you can say like, these people are absolutely going to raid for this token. They're going to go into everybody. This is 500 people who are, I mean, Alex and I, at least I until recently, was in a Telegram of about 1,000 people who are acolytes to this token. And for me, when I'm looking at memes, Robbie, one of our friends here, said, hey, Buddy Bear, this is a new token. It's like 3 days old. It's got $36,000 of market cap. It's got a chart that's still trying to find itself, could go down any minute. But like, I like that kind of meme token. If it's got good volume and it's showing like it might be alive for 5 more hours and I can make 3x and get out and never touch it again, I'm happy with that. But with some of these tokens like a Cocky New or like a Bepe or a Brett that are really past the tens of millions, that are looking for 100 million or looking for 1 billion, like the longer a meme coin lives, the less likely it is to continue living at a certain point until it hits escape velocity. Doge is here to stay. Shiba Inu is here to stay. The next Doge or Shiba Inu will almost certainly be on Solana or Base. But I just feel like at that point, I would rather, look into a meme token that is likely to die and catch a pump on it that only cost me $5 than have to wait a long time and hold it in my bag and worry about it. I just don't want to have something around that long. Something like Bepe, something like Brett is going to have to do more movement to make you the same kind of gains or returns. And that's the whole point of the meme coin casino.
Yeah, exactly.
And I bring up the strength of the community just to say, if I was looking at a Brett or a Bepe or a Base, one of the data points I would look at is, are there 12,000 people, 100,000 people on Twitter who are so, I hate to say it this way, who are so committed to this token that they're diamond handsing it? Is there a toxic diamond hand culture that will form a foundation to support anybody else coming in? Because if the winds are turning for a big token like that towards like, it's never going to moon, we all got to get out, the devs are, untrusted, that kind of thing is what I would look for if I was looking at a big meme token.
You gotta try to tell the difference between like staunch support amongst a group of people that are there because they're having fun, and the like kind of rancid desperation of a bunch of people who want to leave but can't. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The one that we have spent too much time talking about that I refuse to cover anymore, that one is full of desperation.
Yeah, big time.
That's the 100% of the culture in there is desperation and pure anger at anyone who mentions anything other than like blind deference to the creator. You know what I mean? And that's very different. Like if you go into a group of people who are like huge Brett fans, it's like, hey guys, what else do we think could be Brett like? It's like it's a bunch of people vibing on the fact that they're degenerate gamblers, and that's the fun part. But there's like if you go into the aforementioned token that shall not be named, everyone in there is like, you mention even like Bitcoin and someone's like, get the fuck out of here, and they ban you from the chat immediately. It's just like
Yeah, but crypto, we get a little culty.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, big time.
100%.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Yeah. And can I take it back just one more second? We got so many good questions coming in the chat. I promise you we're watching it. We're trying to give everything its due and touch a lot of stuff. But I want to go back to the $1,000 question because I feel like we made an assumption there that I never want to make an assumption. If you're one of those people who's like, I got $1,000, what should I invest in? The very first thing that I think it's important to ask is like, is $1,000 a lot of money for you? If you lost $1,000 tomorrow, how would you feel? How would you feel? And that answer is going to tell you a lot. I would say if the answer to that question is, I really need this money, then you should not invest that much money in crypto. I would scale it back and ask yourself again, $100. If you lost $100 today, how would you feel? If you lost $10 today, and at the point where you say, I really wouldn't care, that's the amount I would start with. And before I, bought anything, you've got to make sure you're learning the basics. Do you have experience on chain? Have you ever created a crypto wallet anywhere? If the answer is no, you should do that. And you should do it with a very small amount of money. You should buy a stable coin. You should buy Bitcoin. You should turn it back into dollar bills. Spend some money doing that, because if you're upset that you had to pay $2 to turn your $10 of Bitcoin back into, $7.50 in your pocket, wait till you spend $1,000 and have to pay $200 to get it into your bank account. You will be pissed. You don't want to find out with money that is too big to lose what it is to experience this space. You've got to, because it's different than anything else.
It's like we said, Evan.
It's all going to teach you. Go ahead.
It's really easy to tell someone, don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and have people be like, yeah, okay, but not really spend the time, because this is what I did. I did not spend the time actually imagining losing that money. I was very focused on what the money could be worth if it went to whatever price people said it was going to go to. And then when push came to shove and that amount of money did get lost on something, it was something that I hadn't even really considered. I thought I did. I thought about it. It was like, yeah, it's not in my bank account anymore. I'm good. I can still pay my bills or whatever. But then it disappeared and I'm like, oh shit. I actually didn't think about it, so you can afford to lose a lot less than you think you can afford to lose. If you're like sitting there trying to make that determination, that's part of the gut check, I promise it's much easier to sleep at night when you're like, damn, I should have held this a little bit longer. It would have been a 10x instead of a 5x, versus, damn, I should have gotten out of this because now I have zero. Like one of those two is way harder to stomach than the other.
But either way, you'll beat yourself up. But beat yourself up.
You will. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, choose which flavor of self-flagellation you would prefer.
Do either of you have any insight on this? I'm Googling this right now about Venezuela adopting Tether as the stable coin of choice versus the US dollar.
Interesting strategy. See, right away, I have not looked at it at all. That would be interesting to look at. I'm curious though if think about does that make sense?
This is the TLDR on the headline. They want to use the US dollar token to bypass sanctions.
Oh.
Not necessarily like because they're looking for a stabler dollar, because that doesn't make sense. They have a state-run oil company that started experimenting with Tether back in 2023 as a way to bypass sanctions placed by nations like the United States. And they're trying to integrate more usage of USDT as a hedge against having foreign banks freeze their accounts. So that's the latest update, is that it's been experimenting with this for about 5 years. It hasn't really taken off. No major exchanges have accepted it there, and the government sunsetted the program in early 2024. But it looks like they're somehow signaling, I don't see how, but they're somehow signaling per Reuters, which is, the source, that they're interested in this, and I think that would be interesting. That would be a good talking point. But that's all the news we have so far.
Yeah, I know. The only thoughts I have on it is like, yeah, that would get you around sanctions, but at the same time, it's still benefiting the United States because Tether's one of the biggest buyers of U.S. bonds today. So the U.S. government's like, no, no. Anyway,
Right.
buy my
That would be
bonds.
my take on it. Is the U.S. would be like, don't stop, please wait.
Oh
You're
no, you're making one of the biggest buyers of U.S. bonds today. No, more money. No, oh shoot, you got around my sanctions.
Yeah,
I
it'd
don't
be
know.
an
That to
interesting
me,
way to like virtue signal as a country, but also be like, give me the money.
Yeah, exactly. Which is
Here's
what
your
we're great
sanction,
at
but
doing.
pay me.
We're great at doing
is there
that.
not though like I don't know. I'm confused because to me that sounds a lot like my kid informing me that they're going to use a step stool to reach the candy I put on top of the fridge. It's like, okay, I'm just going to take your step stool away. Like that doesn't make any sense. It's like, hey, we've
In
been
this analogy, how are you going to take their step stool away? Like you, first of all, you can see it. It's a lot more transparent because it's on the blockchain. But what are you going to do? What are you
I'm
going to
just
do? You're
saying.
going to come over there and get his private key, his physical private key that doesn't actually exist?
No.
No, go ahead, Alex.
I'm saying like if you have been sanctioned, okay, that's not like. Can we just appreciate the gravity of being sanctioned real quick for just a second? Because it's not like a, hey, what are we going to do this morning? I don't know. Let's sanction a sovereign nation. Like it's kind of a big deal. Like we're talking about international law. We're talking about the United Nations. We're talking about like gargantuan moves on behalf of a government. So if someone's like going to go through all of that and get sanctioned, and then the other guy's like, well, you forgot about this loophole. It's like, I'm just going to hit you with something else if that's actually a problem. You know what I mean? Like if anyone was doing something nefarious or malicious enough to warrant being sanctioned on the global stage, and then they were like, hey guys, let me just put it out into the ether that like I found a way around your sanctions. That makes no sense to me, and I feel like that's not going to last. That can't last. That can't work. I would just like, okay, if I can't take the step stool away from the kid, I'll just put the cookies in a cabinet and lock the door. It's like, okay, now get around that, and we
The
just
other thing too is with Tether, that's an interesting choice as opposed to other stable coins, simply because Tether has very publicly announced that they are working with U.S. enforcement.
right.
Yeah. So
exactly.
like that, it like. Maybe they can get around the sanctions with Tether, but maybe that opens up some other doors that I don't know about that the CIA and FBI and SEC and other organizations can use. So, push them further. I don't know.
There's honestly a lot of really good commentary on this from people who know a lot more about it than we do. And I found a great article from the Atlantic Council that just talks about the recent sanctions by the U.S., why they did it, how Venezuela is likely to react, the macroeconomic conditions in the country. Nicolas Maduro is up for re-election. He's widely seen as a corrupt official, but he, is standing between the people of his country and, adversaries on the global scale, could frame himself as a Robin Hood figure against a growing global villain, the United States. I think there's a lot of, if somebody's interested in geopolitics, this seems like a soap opera story that could be really, really interesting. But I don't know enough to have much more of an opinion on it. Certainly.
Yeah, that's about all I can comment on it.
Yeah, zigzag, exactly what sanctions are, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't work, and it doesn't mean that people wouldn't do it. I
gotta hop off at 9:10. Just FYI.
Sounds good.
Okay,
great. Let me do a quick little scan here because there's
we probably could get some rapid fire questions in.
I'm being a terrible steward of the chat right now, so I apologize to all of you who have been asking good, solid questions.
There are a lot of good questions. I have stewarded the chat as best I'm able, but there's also some good discussion happening there. And let me say this: if you, while Alex is looking, want to get caught up, you want to ask us a question, and we don't get to it on the show, it's not because we don't like you. It's not because we're overlooking you. It's just because this stuff moves fast. There are character limits. The best place probably to ask us a question would be right now the Discord community. If you click my profile, if you click Alex's profile, if you go to the riseupmorningshow.com, you can find all the good links for the show. I saw someone say earlier, I think I signed up for the newsletter, but I haven't been getting it. Can confirm we do have some soft bounces. If you're not getting the newsletter and you're signed up, if you're not signed up for the newsletter, that's step one. you can always send us an email in response to the newsletter. It's the briefest bullets from our show. All the links are going to go there. I'm taking notes today to add stuff to it. But we also have the YouTube channel. We have the free Discord community. And Alex and I are working on, because not everybody's a Discord person, we're working on new gathering spaces for our community. And we're also working on trying to figure out what would subscriber benefits look like for people who want to support the show to earn more value, like in a chat with us where you could just ask us questions and we would just respond with, a dedicated video. We understand there's demand for it. We're not overlooking you. We're working on it. Work with us. And like us. Really, really like us. Go to YouTube and like us. It helps. Alex, what do you got? What do you got for questions, man?
So let's do a rapid fire go around. Cryptruth asked, how high was your first crypto investment? My snarky answer is too high, which is true. But I would say that I have two. My first one, I didn't even really realize what I was doing. I bought $240 worth, or I think it was about $250 worth of Ethereum in 2016 or something. They were it was high 80s per coin. And I didn't know what I was doing. I literally bought it because I thought the name Ethereum was cool and I couldn't afford a whole Bitcoin because I thought I had to buy an entire one and it was like $3,000 for one Bitcoin. So I bought ETH instead. And then I promptly got over my idea that I was going to be a big investor and I just forgot that I bought it and I kind of put it away or whatever. And then like a year later, someone at work was like talking about Ethereum almost touching $1,000. And I was like, shut the hell up. And that was my very first one. And then, so that was a great choice, made with no education and poor reasoning. And then it turned into me making lots of bad decisions very quickly, and negating my first good choice. So that was my first one.
And great proof that if you just buy and hold something with a little bit of conviction, sometimes it's all right.
Sometimes it's all right.
What about you, Will?
The first coin I ever bought was Ethereum. Because what got me excited about crypto was when I found out that you had programmable money, and I was early on in my career in the AI machine learning space, not as a tech person, as a sales rep, but working for AI companies. And I was like, oh, programmable money, that's cool. So I bought Ethereum, and then I bought Engine Coin because the gaming use case has been big. I've been big on that since I first learned about it. And Engine Coin was my first 100x, but I had to hold that for 4 years. Because I held it all the way to the top of the bull market, didn't sell it in 2017, rode it through the bear market, and luckily it was one of those projects that came back in a really big way. So that was my first 100x, which is very lucky. That does not happen often.
No.
And then my other really big, in fact, I think percentage-wise, it was my best, but I didn't sell it until the bottom of the bear market. My first bag, I just rode up and rode down and learned painful lessons, but it was Dent, D-E-N-T. And it was like, I can't even remember. It had something to do with like mobile. I don't even remember the use case, but it had like a 20,000, it was a ridiculous return, and I didn't sell it because I was dumb. I thought it was going to make me millions. But that first cycle, I think in total I invested like $8,000, $9,000, and it went up to like a total of $100,000. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be so rich. And then it collapsed and went back to like the bottom of the bear market, like $3,000, So, yeah, that was a lot of painful lessons learned in 2017, 2018.
My answer, I don't know that I have an answer to like what is the highest crypto I've bought. The first thing I think of when you say that question though is like 6'3" is my answer. That's how high the highest crypto I've bought is. What about your favorites, Will? Do you have favorite tokens?
Favorites? I mean, yeah, they're the ones I've bought, but I have some favorites of coins that I bought and don't have right now. So like, I'm big on base chain, as you guys know. I have Aerodrome, which has been a phenomenal investment of mine since December. I got in when it was like a $9 million and $15 million market cap.
Real quick, can I interrupt you there just to say we've had a couple questions about that. Do you have thoughts on Aerodrome? My only thought is it seems like it's got the most attention and liquidity on Base, and it's an AMM exchange type deal, so it probably is a decent bet.
Yeah, it has really good APY earning options. It's a fairly simple to use interface for a DEX. It could be cleaned up though from a user interface experience standpoint, in my opinion. But the big thing to look at is the total value locked. So go on DeFi Llama, really good site. Total value locked shows how much money is being actually like used in the program, and that amount of money is continuously going up. So as long as more and more people are putting more and more money into Aerodrome, which means more and more people are using it, the floor on Aerodrome should continuously increase. So, and if we believe that base chain is going to get as much growth as we expect it to, largely fueled by the smart wallet that Coinbase is going to release in August, because all like the on-chain stuff you need to know, like I need to have my seed phrases and I need to know all this crypto stuff, that's going to go away with the Coinbase smart wallet. So the barrier to entry is going to be absolutely zero for people who know how to use the internet today. So that should onboard a lot of people. A lot of people means a lot of money. Aerodrome is the #1 decentralized exchange. The money on that should go up. More people should have the Aerodrome token. Price should increase. So that's my thought process. I saw one question is like, am I late to Aerodrome? You're not late, but you're not early either. Yeah. I would say it's a good time to dollar cost average if you also believe the base chain ecosystem is going to increase. The risk with Aerodrome is if a new decentralized exchange comes out on base that's just way better, and then that TVL could then flow into that other coin, right? That's the threat, but I don't think it's that high of a threat because a first mover advantage is a very strong advantage, and Aerodrome has that. So that's
yeah, and I would say the best place again to pay attention to that from people who are talking about it on the ground is almost certainly Warpcast. People are going to be talking about the base ecosystem there from the perspective of this is what I am building. I need new users, and some of it is going to flop, and one of it is going to be, you know, the sprint to Aerodrome's horizon, and you want to be there when it's starting versus when it's ending. We talk about this with Cake too. The attention is everything. Someone mentioned in the comments the total value locked, but also how much is how are people staking? What are they staking there, and is it growing or not over time? That's an important indicator to look at, and it's so easy when things are going up, when they have a great chart, when they have great attention. It's hard to notice where the tipping point comes, but pay attention to that. Don't be so into it. Don't be so in love with it, in love with the APY, that if the token price goes down, the APY goes down, something better comes along, you can't move your money.
Yeah. And final thing I'll say, and then maybe I have time to field one more question if you guys have it. Is Aerodrome's my favorite just because I have zero risk in my mind of that doing well unless it totally blows up as a program. And also on base Extra Finance. Other than those two, I haven't really found coins on base that I really, really love. Love Jupiter on Solana. I love Immutable X. I love Beam on Avalanche. I have zero risk in my mind associated to those projects going up, so I really like those ones.
Yeah, I like we've spent, or at least Mac and I have spent a good chunk of time talking to the team at Beam and Merit Circle, and those are some solid dudes over there.
Yeah, they're a great team.
So, Will, your resonance, God, I will never not love saying that handle. We mentioned AI, and the question is regarding the double spending computing problem, which is 100% something that I would need to read about.
Yeah, I'm not. Is that specific to the AI industry, or is that an issue that's being faced with AI cryptos? I'm unfamiliar. Maybe I know the problem and just not the name.
Would you repeat the question? Because I'm not sure I understood it.
Just any thoughts on the double spending computing problem? And my immediate reflex to this is that I personally see a lot of logistical issues with AI and crypto working together from the standpoint of like AI related tokens in the long term. However, and Will, don't let me speak for you, but maybe this can be your closing thought. My impression, at least, of looking at AI crypto as a niche, as a narrative, has almost nothing to do with the longevity of AI projects. Because, like I said, I foresee lots of logistical issues there. However, that doesn't stop the narrative of AI doing well, because as we've seen time and time and time again, and we will continue to see time and time again, the logic of a narrative does not impact ever in crypto its capacity to do well for the trend time that it is hyped up. Like if we go back to metaverse, that's my favorite example because metaverse crypto made absolutely no sense. And we've had metaverse ecosystems that thrived and flourished sans crypto for, decades beforehand. RuneScape, Neopets, World of Warcraft, all of these were immensely popular metaverses, for lack of a better word. And just because someone slapped a crypto on it didn't mean anything, but those did billions and billions and billions of dollars in volume, and then they completely died. And that's kind of where I think AI is, that like you can attach a crypto to anything you want and you can use it for whatever you want. At the end of the day, does the token need to exist? No, probably not. You could say that about 90% of the crypto that exists on this planet, it doesn't need to be there, but it's going to be there. Vector space AI, brilliant example. Amazing technology, awesome idea, solid business plan, didn't need crypto at all. Token is a pile of shit. So, Will, I don't know if that's kind of how you approach AI or if you have any different thoughts about it or anything like that, because...
Yeah, going off of that, and then Residence, you had another comment like that makes all AI cryptos a scam. Anything that is a crypto, there is a 99% chance that it is either a scam or it is a really good project that's trying to do its best that just isn't going to succeed because that's the fate of most small businesses, right? So that's something to understand with the crypto space. We are dealing with penny stocks, right? And there are a couple good projects, and of those few good projects, a couple of them have the team and the money behind them to actually achieve what they're trying to achieve, right? So that's something you need to understand. That's why almost all cryptos are not good long-term investments. Like 5 years, 10 years, right? That's what I'm talking about long-term. In the AI space specifically, it's the same thing. And this isn't specific to AI. This is specific to all trends. You have all these coins that are coming out that claim to be a part of this trend, but what they do isn't actually providing like real value or solving a real world problem. And that is the case for most AI coins. Most AI coins are scams or rug pulls or good projects that are trying their best that just aren't going to succeed. Yeah. And so, Residents, you are correct. Most AI cryptos are scams because most of them are. But that's not true for just AI. That's true for all the trends, right?
Real world assets, you name it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And when it comes to AI, coming from the AI space, the only real useful use case I've heard of is providing GPU power towards data scientists, right? That's the only one that I've seen that is genuinely useful. And that's like a render. I think there's Nosana, there's IONET, a couple others that I like where as coming from the AI space, I'm like, oh, cool, like data scientists actually need that. Whether those projects, even a render, can execute on that, I am incredibly speculative on. But I love Render. That's one of my favorite coins too. I think it's going to do really, really well continuously. I think it's going to be a very, very good performer still. But long term, I just go, this probably isn't going to work out.
Yeah. That's the attitude you kind of have to have.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, I got to hop off. I got to get ready for some calls on my end.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for hanging out with us. Everybody follow Will at Coin Guide. We'll see you again soon, brother.
All right. See you guys. It was fun chatting.
See you, dude.
Man, it's a great conversation. What about Will? Coin_guide. If you don't follow Will already, I think most everybody in this room does. If you're on YouTube, though, and you're watching the replay, that's
I would encourage. I know we didn't have it. It's really hard to curate a conversation between three different people, especially with a chat that is as active as you guys are giving us all of the good questions right now. So if there was a question that you wanted to hear from Will on, I would encourage you to leave it for him in a comment to one of his videos, and then you can throw them up here, and Evan and I can go through some stuff.
And then comment and tell him to come back because we enjoy having him because it's great.
But 100%, I mean, if this is helpful, if this is enjoyable, because I love it anytime Evan and I get to branch out and get some extra voices in, because that's what all of this is all about. So if there is more, please let us know if you still have an outstanding question you'd like us to cover, and then if we want Will back, just harass him until he comes back more often.
That's exactly right. Who knew he was such a nerd? I love it. I absolutely love it. And I need to reach out to you. That's a good reminder. I got to text Beck and Tatiana again because I know we want to have them on the show. Can I tell you, Alex, I just love what you both said about most tokens. We talk about this a lot. Most tokens, they're a scam. Most narrative tokens, especially. Do they need to exist? The answer is usually no. And there are so many. I'm surprised. I'd like Will's feedback on this. He didn't talk about verification. I think the best use case for like AI in the world of crypto that tokens could be used for, but not necessarily speculative tokens, is verifying stuff. Like using blockchain to attest that this video of Joe Biden is actually released by the White House, to attest that this article by the New York Times or this source from NBC was like what it purported to be. Blockchain does that better than anything I know, and AI is gonna need that, especially as it becomes harder to detect what's real and what's fake online, and increasingly offline. Proof of personhood, all that kind of stuff. Big time use case for crypto. And that's one of the things that makes me think that, like, when people ask, like, what do you think about the AI trend? There's a lot of stuff that will make you money in the short term, but I don't know that anybody in our space is really solving those problems that are like good nuts to crack, that are going to make somebody yacht money someday. You know what I mean? Are you writing down questions? We
Yes.
get better pens.
Yeah. You know what's really funny? You ever heard that like old story about, or that little anecdote that's, you know, how much money someone spent to create a ballpoint pen that will work in space, and then someone else just used a pencil?
Yeah. No, but I love it.
It's like the United States spent, you know, $100 billion developing a ballpoint pen that will work in space, and the Russians used a pencil. It was just funny because I just tried like 6 different ballpoint pens that were not working, and then I finally was like, fine, and just picked up the pencil that has been sitting on my desk the entire time. Okay, I wanted to rapid fire a couple things because these are all questions that came in earlier. So really quickly, I'm sorry, I'm not going to remember everyone's name who asked everything because I'm just writing questions down. But Lee asked ages ago and then was very patient about the illegality around promoting cryptocurrency in general, and whether there was a difference between memes and not regular crypto. So the short answer is no, there is no difference. The problem with the memes, especially the way that Evan and I have been discussing them lately, is that there are different ways. You can always, breaking the law is a spectrum, okay? There are lots of laws, and you can do something that is illegal, and then you can compound that with more illegality and make your situation worse, right? It's the difference between being charged with possession because the amount of an illegal substance that you had, you're not allowed to have any of. But then if you get above a certain threshold, you can also be charged with intent to distribute. And that can compound your problem, right? Crypto is the same way. The SEC, the CFTC, and the IRS all have their own rules, with regards to taxes, how you can talk about stuff, whatever. The CFTC has guidelines that apply to a lot of cryptocurrency content. So, for example, it is illegal to create a piece of content, an advertising piece, a video, write something, whatever, promoting anything that you have been paid to promote without disclosing that you were paid to promote it, because it denotes bias. So if Evan is approached by L'Oreal, it doesn't matter that it's a hair product. If he's approached by, a cryptocurrency, Brett, whatever, yeah, and both of them, L'Oreal and Brett, are like, Evan, we love your channel. We would like to give you $1,000 to make a video about us. And Evan makes a video about it. And he doesn't tell anyone that he was paid to make the video. He just broke a CFTC guideline against disclosing paid promotion. That's why TikTok has features baked in to make it really hard so that you have to purposefully avoid disclosing your paid promotion. Cryptocurrency being promoted can add more layers to that conundrum, wherein you can be paid to promote something and not disclose it, breaking one rule. You can advertise a financial good or service or product in a specific way wherein you encourage someone to purchase it, insinuating that it's going to go up in value, even if you don't explicitly say that. Spoiler alert, saying not financial advice does not protect you legally at all.
No.
Anyone who ever has said the phrase not financial advice could just leave it off. The only
Honestly,
thing that
they'd be
should
doing
serve as-
better if they did, to be frank.
Yeah, the only thing that should service to a viewer is that should be the red flag that whatever is inside the message that contains not financial advice is not helpful to you. You'll never hear me say not financial advice because I don't need to. It doesn't help me at all. If I go before a judge one day and they're questioning my content and I say, but Your Honor, I said not NFA on the video, they're going to be like, what? It doesn't matter. So the thing with meme coins, there is no difference between promoting a meme coin versus promoting a different cryptocurrency. If one, I'm not disclosing that I was paid to promote it, or two, I'm giving unsolicited financial advice and I'm not licensed or registered or insured or whatever to give that advice. I can't do that. However, with memes, specifically influencer run meme coins, you can compound that illegality further by breaking more rules. For example, if Evan gets a call to promote Dogecoin and he does it and he doesn't disclose that it was a paid promo, he broke a law. If he tells you to buy it because it's going to go up, he broke another law. If Evan owns a lot of Dogecoin and he's trying to enrich himself by promoting it to you, he broke another law. And with memes, particularly the ones that influencers are pushing, they usually own a lot of it and they're either trying to push it on someone so that they can dump on you, because that's a very classic tactic. Or with the influencer created memes, they often control it or they own a lot of it, which compounds the illegality even more. So if I make a meme and I own a chunk of the supply, and then I tell people this is going to be big someday, and I encourage them to purchase it, and they start buying it, making me richer, and I'm now in a capacity where I could sell on them. Even if I don't, I have now broken another law. We're just getting more and more and more and more illegal as the time goes on here. So that's why it's worse with memes than with anything else. Me telling you to go buy Ethereum is not going to move the market cap or the price of Ethereum. But if I made a meme coin and I told you to buy it, I could very easily steal your money. It's still illegal for me to tell you, go buy Ethereum, it's going to go up in value. That's still a crime. Yeah. But it's not quite as criminal as me owning the supply of a token that I created and telling you to go buy it because it will go up in value. I did the same thing, but the circumstances make one way worse than the other.
Yeah.
So that was a really long-winded answer, but
it was excellent.
Hopefully that covers everything.
It was excellent. And the only note I want to add is you should look for folks to listen to and learn from who can make the distinction between telling you to buy something and explaining when something makes sense as an asset or as a concept or an idea. On this show, you'll hear me say a lot. When you get started in crypto, you should open a wallet, go buy some stablecoin or Bitcoin. Like Alex just said, not only is that not going to move the market, I'm not advocating you do that as a means to enrich yourself. I'm advocating you do that as a means to, well, I guess it is enrich yourself, in terms of like what you know, what you can do. The same way I might advocate to somebody, if you want to become a more fit person, you should go buy some running shoes and take a walk. You know, like that's the way you want people to be talking about this stuff with you. First of all, because it's legal. Second of all, because that's the kind of stuff that's going to make you wealthy. Somebody mentioned somewhere in the comments they thought was, smart. There are so many smart people out there, but there is a big difference between being smart and being discerning, being wise. In the age of the internet, anybody can be smart. So look for people who have good judgment, give good wisdom. Those people are your teachers. So, Alex, are you taking us on a trip with your notepad?
The sun is now. Sun's now in my eyes.
I was watching it creep onto your forehead. I was like, "Oh, you look like you're getting a little like Sailor Moon vibe there."
My last follow-up to my big rant about illegality is just in response to the comment that there are countries where the rules are less strict, so you could just go launch there. The TLDR on that is like that may protect you in some capacity, but if what you're doing impacts or affects an American citizen, American law enforcement agencies still have jurisdiction, the federal ones, over you. If you sell an unregistered security by American standards to an American citizen in the United States, the SEC has jurisdiction over you. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you launched. It doesn't matter if it's legal in the country that you launched it. If you didn't prevent Americans from paying for it or buying it, you broke the law in the United States, and they are able to go after you, and they have gone after people for doing that before. The first
and actually, I want to add to that too about creating tokens. Some places have much stricter rules for what you as the creator can do. So be aware of that. I understand in the United Kingdom, for example, we have a lot of viewers there. It is like you really don't want to launch a cryptocurrency if you live in the United Kingdom, unless you are like somebody who is the leader of a firm that is registered and compliant and has filled out the forms to do so. There's a process there. I don't know anything about it, but be aware of what the laws are, where you are, and who the people you're selling to, where they live, because you can get in big trouble, like Alex said, for that. The United States is not an arm you want to tangle with.
The first attorney that Mac and I ever consulted with told me that I could avoid all of the problems by just registering my company in the Cayman Islands or something. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, just register it in the Bahamas or something like that. And I'm like, okay, but come on, man. Even I know it was a very short conversation. We never called them back again. But like even some lawyers don't know that is the case.
And
there is
sorry.
He unfortunately doesn't make really content at all anymore, but used to. There's an individual, I think it was like his handle was like Tatted Lawyer or something. He's actually an ex. Yeah. So he is an attorney, and he used to work for the SEC. If you want to know exactly how far their reach is, he's a good source. That's where I learned most of the stuff that I know about it. Evan, I had a couple other rapid fires. If I do, I'm going to do...
Can I say one more thing, actually, just about this? Yeah. If you want a resource, because someone asked, how is the law different for memes? To summarize this, I would point you to, and we can put it in the newsletter, we'll have a little section on meme tokens. Chris Dixon and A16Z talked very cogently about this. If you do a Google search, the title of the article I recommend is How Bad Policy Favors Memes Over Matter. Because despite what we're saying here about it being illegal to talk about or advertise them, etc., for any crypto, I would say that the broader crypto market is actually, the regulation that exists for us actually is more helpful for meme tokens often than it is for tokens with what you might call utility, attempting to bring a product to market. And the person you want to read on that is Chris Dixon. He talks a lot about how the policy we have now favors what he calls the casino over what he calls the computer. And it's one of the reasons we need to be advocates. We need to tell a better story in this space so that the people who have power will trust us and will enforce helpful regulation, not just, gambling everywhere all the time. I'm sorry, Alex, please, though.
No.
I'm into it.
So in answer to your question, no, the laws are not different for meme coins. And to Compound Angel's question, how is it that all these memes are coming out without any consequence? The shitty and short answer to that is it's the same reason that hundreds of thousands of people in the United States speed above the felony speed limit every single day and never get caught, because there's just not a cop looking at them. That's literally it. If there is a very good chance that I could drive out of my neighborhood right now and blow right past the stop sign at the entrance to the subdivision. And even though that is illegal, there is never a cop sitting back here. I'm not going to get caught. Nothing is going to happen to me. But if a cop was there, I could get pulled over for it and get a ticket, right? Crypto is the same thing. If you have 10,000 dumbasses on TikTok illegally promoting cryptocurrency and launching their own memes and owning the supply and doing all of these things and breaking all of these laws, and there is just simply not the budget or the capacity or the manpower to enforce those laws on people, most of them are going to get away with it. Yeah, that doesn't make it right.
And because it's on a blockchain, it's a lot easier to enforce against eventually someday than a traffic stop.
Yeah,
which
right now,
ephemeral evidence for.
Just like Discord is in the hot seat right now for selling your chat history to the highest bidder, at some point, law enforcement is going to catch up, and people are going to realize exactly what immutable means.
Yeah.
With regards to the blockchain ledger upon which they are committing crime. and they may think it's anonymous, and then they cash out by linking it to a KYC Coinbase account that now has a forever connection between your identity and that wallet address. And any savvy lawyer will be able to infer connection, and then you will get dunked on. It's not a guarantee, but at some point, the CFTC is going to get their shit together and drop the hammer on influencers on TikTok. Because it's not just crypto, it's the stock people, it's the finance gurus, it's whatever. All of them are giving unsolicited and illegal financial advice regularly.
Oh my God, yes.
And they just so happen to be the ones with all of the views. So, it's also on the viewer to like learn how to recognize that stuff and stop rewarding all of those people with likes and attention, because we're just spreading it. If it pisses you off, don't spend any time watching it, because that makes more people watch it.
We're guilty of hate watching though, occasionally.
I mean, and hold people accountable too. Like if you see something that you're like questioning, anyone should feel as a viewer that you have the right to question what someone is doing on their channel at any given point. My favorite comment on a TikTok live with a crypto creator who is doing something wrong, I just usually sit there and I say, I'm feeling really financially advised right now. Go watch how uncomfortable that makes them when they read that comment. And if it makes them uncomfortable, it's because they're breaking the law. It's really that easy. I have just no tolerance for it, because it's discrediting the industry. The reason that so many people look at crypto as a scam is because there's a bunch of grifters taking advantage of the fact that it's really easy to separate you from your money in this industry. Okay. Three rapid fires, because these were questions that I've now ignored for way too long. Someone asked, why do people hate ICP? Someone else asked if we could address the pre-sale conundrum. And then someone else asked if we had any guesses regarding the bottom for Bitcoin in the next bear market.
Okay, I can answer those all really fast. People hate ICP because they hold too much of it and it hasn't done enough price action. The second question, I forgot it. What was the second question?
I can hit all of those right now.
I swear to God, I have answers. I just remember the question. What's the second one?
The pre-sale conundrum.
Pre-sale is get a Palau ID.
No.
Something.
Wrong pre-sale. I did not give you any context. I apologize.
Oh.
Their question was specifically about the rise in scammy pre-sales for meme coins.
The short answer is just don't participate, because it's not worth. You're not going to miss out on life-changing. The potential you miss out on life-changing money from the one meme coin that hits because you did trust me, bro, with somebody, is not worth all the risk you're taking on the other end. Plenty of meme coins out there you don't have to do that with. I recommend being involved in legitimate meme coins. That would be the reason to hold popular meme coins, is if somebody just airdrops you stuff, like our friend Dave. And bottom for Bitcoin, like a price target, I was just going to say, I don't know enough to have an opinion, except that the graph over time trends up and to the right, and I personally expect that to continue. Those are my three rapid answers.
Yeah, so no, those are good answers. The only thing I have to add to why do people hate ICP, if you'll recall, I vividly remember watching ICP launch. I remember watching it go live on an exchange for the very first time.
I just don't think I was paying that much attention to it yet.
And every single person who watched it happen thought it was a mistake, because this cryptocurrency came out of absolutely nowhere, and all of a sudden it was launched on all major exchanges, and it was in the top 5 by market cap when it was 1 or 2 days old. And everyone's like, what the actual hell just happened? Where did this thing come from? Is this a glitch? What's going on? It was billions and billions of dollars. This thing was past established ecosystems. The price per token was $800+ on like day 2. And since then it has done this.
Yeah.
And you have people to this day who are sitting there with ICP that their cost basis for is north of $500. Then they'll probably never see that price again. There is almost no chance that they ever see that price again. So that right there created an immediate culture of toxicity around that project that has forever tainted it. If you want to get into the technicals about why do people hate it if they are not a salty bag holder, It's because even though the tech is incredible and there's really cool tools being built there and the developer environment is really good and there are incentives to be a developer over there and they have a good grant program and they have a solid foundation, their UX is terrible and that's it. The UX sucks and their marketing is non-existent. So they're fighting a losing battle. They have been since day 3 when their price started to crash and it never recovered and it probably never will.
Yeah, it's unlucky.
Unfortunately, that is just ICP's lot in life, and it sucks. But that's the way that it is. Pre-sales.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, are you going to give me good answers for those other questions? Because I expect them now. That was a good answer.
Well, the good answer for a meme coin pre-sale is every single one of them is a scam, and you should expect to never see the money that you send to it ever again. You are putting $20 into a slot machine and pulling the handle, except this slot machine has a guy on the other end who really doesn't want to give you any money.
Yeah.
So just think about it that way. It's like a slot machine that hates you. That's a great one. Write that down.
Slot machine that hates you? You got
slot machine that hates you. The Bitcoin bottom, like Evan said, neither one of he or I are people who will make price predictions. I couldn't say. I will say that's the $1 million question. I will also say that I don't know, Evan. I'd have to look this up. So somebody please feel free to fact check me on this one. But I feel like pretty consistently throughout history, the bottom for the next bear market is usually a little bit lower than the top of the previous bull market. What was the bottom last time was what, like 15 or 16? And the high the previous time was like 20 something. Am I remembering those numbers right?
Yeah, so yes and no. So prices, we went above 1,000 and then under 100 and then up to like almost 20,000 and then down to 10. So it was the bottoms get higher over time statistically, with the exception of that $18,000 bottom that we had kind of last time. But if you draw the line, you've got the tops that go up and to the right, and then you've got the bottoms that go up and to the right. They both go up and to the right. And honestly, I would amend my answer to say we don't have a crystal ball, but if I wanted to try and make a prediction, what I would do is I would look at on-chain analytics to determine like where are the biggest holders of Bitcoin, how much conviction do they have, how long have they held, how frequently do they sell. I'd look at Michael Saylor, I'd look at Kathy, I'd look at those kind of people, I'd look at Grayscale, and I'd try to figure out like when did they buy in, when are they likely to take profits, when are they likely to cash out. Like none of those are questions that I can answer definitively, but if I wanted to gain more conviction about making a more certain bet, those are the kind of things I would look at, and also acknowledge to myself that at the end of the day, I could never, it would still be a gamble, like a roulette wheel. Like talking to the racehorse before the race, you're still making a gamble. You just feel more informed about it, But those are some of the things you could look at if you just wanted to learn more and feel more informed.
Yeah. No, that's about what I got on that. If I missed you, I do apologize. I tried to do a read through.
No, we have a really good question that we should answer before we go. Is Dave asked it? How did we sell TFM tokens and the corrupted tokens? Offer the different kinds of things we did, and talk about it, and make it legal. How did we feel confident that we were legally compliant doing that? And I think nobody to give a better answer than you, Alex.
Yeah. So. It was not easy. It cost us money because we consulted with multiple professionals. We had a lawyer on retainer the entire time. Every single piece of messaging that ever came out, every single piece of marketing, every single social media post, every single line of messaging that we ever released about any of the projects went through the lawyer first, and they vetted everything. We forewent lots of things that we wanted to do for the project that he warned us against for whatever reason. The construction of the RevPoints ecosystem was built off chain in a closed ecosystem that we could completely control because that was the only way to do it legally. I encourage anyone to dig through the chronicles of time and audit every single thing that you ever saw any of us say, and you'll notice a common trend that we talked about the story, we talked about what our mission was, we talked about education, we talked about all this kind of stuff. We never gave predictions, we never used the phrase "to the moon," we
didn't allocate ourselves any supply.
No, yeah, none of that. All of that would have been illegal. I vividly remember watching ourselves get lapped in both volume and trading and floor by a bunch of projects that did opt to throw caution to the wind and break the law. Honestly, the short answer is we just ran everything by a securities lawyer who was crypto literate. We dug around and we consulted with a bunch of lawyers until we found one who knew about crypto and who understood how the markets worked, and who also specialized in securities laws and securities litigation. The technical answer is that anything that was transactory between people had to be either off chain or we had to be completely removed from it. So, like I said, RevPoints was something that people earned from like holding the token. But it itself was not a token, and it could only be transacted inside of a closed ecosystem, and we had to do it that way. We couldn't put it on chain, just because that would have been illegal. If someone could have taken the value out and liquidated it somewhere else, that would have been a crime. NFTs versus cryptocurrencies have a few like little nuances to the laws, just because there are no liquidity pools for NFTs. You have to actually sell it from one person to another. So there is some difference there. You're allowed to talk about NFTs a little bit differently than you are fungible tokens, just because, if we had a liquidity pool where Coinbase would have paid you automatically for the token, that would have been different. That would have changed the narrative. What else? I mean, if you fast forward to corrupted, we knew that we wanted to give the trading royalties to the holders. But we never talked about it. Again, I encourage you to go back. Right. I encourage you to go back and vet everything that we ever said about it. We never mentioned the royalties thing once until the collection was sold out, because we couldn't use that as an incentive to mint a collection. We had to sell it exclusively on the merits of the story and the proposed, plans for utility. And then after the final token was sold and we no longer maintained control over any of it, then we could talk about other things, but the person buying it could not have had that in their head when they made the purchase decision. We also had to add degrees of separation. So we added 3 different degrees of separation. 1, we never talked about the royalty giving. 2, you couldn't earn the royalties from holding the initial token. You had to do something with the token to get a separate one.
Even revPoints were that way. Like, we worked on different kind of claim mechanisms to figure out like what is the best way, to create layers of action for people so that it's not,
That's the other degree of separation. If you give someone the tool, and then you require them to do something with it, and they have to put in effort, and for their efforts, they can be rewarded again. Mm-hmm. That is a degree of separation. So we layered that.
Just a caveat. That's one of the reasons a lot of Web3 loyalty programs have had difficulty. And one of the reasons Starbucks really succeeded is because they found a really great way to, first of all, like decouple these assets from financials on the front end. You could buy them, yes, but they entitled you to certain benefits that like a product would. And they were earned, if they were earned through action. You only got the liquidity once you got to the marketplace after you got the asset, kind of thing. It was pretty brilliant.
Yeah, so it's dry, it's kind of boring, but it was important. I spent months working on it. It was a very deliberate effort. And I had to the end result, one of the lessons that I learned is I would not do it again. In any kind of similar fashion, even though we did it all legally, I would change it even further. just because I made a lot of holders very unhappy because I refused to build a staking protocol because I was a public servant at that time. I was enlisted in the U.S. military as a federal employee. Like, I was really easy to find. So like there was absolutely no chance that I was going to be attached to something that was going to be illegal because I would have lost my job and gone to prison when probably nobody else would have. The military doesn't play around with shit like that. So there was a whole lot of reasons, and I had to make a lot of holders very unhappy because I just simply couldn't do the utility that they were accustomed to from other projects that didn't give a shit whether they broke the law or not. That's
or that had different legal jurisdiction, in terms of what they felt they could do, different advice.
I would just straight up say they didn't care if they broke the law.
I think there are plenty of those too.
I've never seen an NFT project that was launched by anyone other than a major corporation that KYC'd before purchase, and every single one of them broke every single one of them by that logic broke the law because they didn't prevent Americans from buying it, and then they did one or many.
Yeah, but I think there were a lot of projects that didn't KYC that, to the best of their ability, attempted to uphold the law. I think one of my favorite examples is Impact Theory, and they got fined by the SEC. They're a great example of how you can do everything, I would say, mostly right, and talk about it well, but still, because of unclear, unhelpful regulation and the interpretation of the law, be litigated against. There's risk for everybody. Yep. Until we get better rules, frankly.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree.
Military work is dodgy AF. Didn't KYC is kind of subjective. The SEC is vindictive. Listen, how did you fit so many claims into a single TikTok comment? I am really, that's impressive. You should put that on a resume. 3 impressive claims in 1 TikTok comment.
Yeah.
Thanks for being active today, Hubli Khan, by the way.
Military work is dodgy AF is a very broad statement that I think that you just made with relation to me with no context, because I'm not going into my entire work history here. Didn't KYC is not subjective at all. You either did or you didn't. I don't know how you could interpret not KYCing as a subjective opinion. And I 100% agree. The SEC is, they're incompetent. Vindictive, maybe.
Maybe. Somebody asked earlier, is it fake news that Gary Gensler got removed from the SEC? Unfortunately, yes.
It's not fake. It's not fake news, though, that some lawyers from the SEC resigned after getting censured in court, though.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Somebody asked about ERC 404 tokens. Would we consider launching them? I would consider using cryptocurrency to do anything that made sense. Alex, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was meme tokens. Tori had a question yesterday, one that I had not really considered, which was, could you use a meme token for fundraising? And I have talked a lot about non-fungible tokens as a mechanism for nonprofits specifically to build better relationships with their donors. But I think there's a world where, yeah, you could use a meme token for fundraising, but it's one of the only instances I can think of where I would actually want somebody to use a blacklist, because I'd want to make sure that only the nonprofit and licensed employees could sell the token. It wouldn't be a meme token in the sense that people are going to gamble on it and speculate and hope to get rich. It would be a meme token in, we love the meme of St. Jude and the mission of St. Jude and want to hold crypto tokens that signify the worth of our donation in order that St. Jude might benefit. And when they cash out, we'll keep the tokens, we'll keep the receipt on the blockchain to show that, I've been supporting this organization since it had a tiny market cap. I hold this many, and you could use it like you would use a non-fungible token, airdrop stuff to wallets. What do you think about that? I am curious about the legality of it in terms of accepting money via a meme token that, is probably doesn't have the rails for it, versus something like a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. But like the dynamics of it, the mechanics of it, and definitely doing like a blacklist or something. What do you think about that?
Conflicting opinions, because I would say that if your goal is to donate to a charity, you should skip the crypto and just donate to the charity. I do think that blockchain can be used effectively to improve the transparency of incoming nonprofit donations and then fund allocation after the donation. That would
Why
be
would
really
you say
cool
just skip the crypto?
because you don't need it. Just donate to like.
What if it's easier for me? What if I am an individual who's unbanked? I mean, it's a rare circumstance. Most people will have an easier time donating in cash. But like, what if it's easier for me to donate in crypto?
So
why wouldn't you do it?
that seems to be, I mean, the example of someone who is unbanked who wants to donate to charity.
I'm unbanked by choice. I'm Michael Saylor. I want to donate to charity. Bitcoin is my most liquid asset. I have decided to part with it because I believe it's the best way for me to give back to charities. Why wouldn't you? Like, aside from the fact that people wouldn't.
You understand, we're talking about two very different things here. Michael Saylor, who's not unbanked, donating his Bitcoin is very different than someone buying a meme coin that was promising to donate their liquidity pool to a charity.
No. You misunderstand. I don't think you were listening the first, or maybe I miscommunicated. Let me say it again. I'm St. Jude. I launch a meme token. There is a blacklist. Everyone is on the blacklist.
Right.
Nobody can sell this token.
Right, I heard.
It's not Baby Doge.
I understand.
It is a token that when you buy it, the money in my account more or less goes up. And when I take the liquidity out, that's how they make money.
I understand. The person who's buying it, how are they buying it? How is the unbanked?
How's the unbanked token? Through a website, through an exchange, an interface like an exchange. It probably wouldn't be listed on an exchange, but go ahead.
There's a lot of variables there. I want to know. Okay, first of all, I'll preface this by saying, like, sure, it works, and you should be allowed to do it if that's what you want to do. My 2 cents is that if you're someone who would like to donate to St. Jude, you should just donate to St. Jude.
But why wouldn't you do it in crypto? In my mind, there are more benefits to using crypto for donations than cash. And I don't need a liquidity pool. I don't need to pair it with Ethereum or something. If the liquidity is backed by the donations of people who buy the token, they send the contract money, I send them tokens.
I don't care about that at all. And for the record, it's extremely different circumstances for, Doge Shark Inu to donate some of their liquidity or their trading royalties or fees to a charity. That's, versus like someone who decides to use blockchain to track donations. I wouldn't call that a meme.
No, but I'm talking again. I think we're talking about different things. I'm specifically talking about trading money to a charity directly via the sale of a token versus via the transaction of dollars, where an intermediary is almost certainly going to take a cut, where the price. I just think there are a lot of reasons. The problems that crypto solves of creating a direct relationship between you and I that is immutable on chain forever is such an incredible benefit that, like, you could do with a non-fungible token, but frankly you could do with a meme or a fungible token. I wouldn't call it a meme token. I would just say with fungible tokens. St. Jude token.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're missing each other here somewhere. What I'm saying is I agree completely that, like, using blockchain and tokens to track donations, to give somebody the receipt that they made a donation and put all of that on chain, and thus make more transparent and trackable, and potentially gamify and award other benefits to donators and stuff. Like, I'm completely in support of that. I think that's an awesome idea. I would never call that St. Jude launching a meme coin. I would say St. Jude is now accepting donations on chain, and they're marking you with a receipt, and your receipt is a token, and you can name the token whatever you want. I think phrasing, we're arguing about semantics is my understanding here, but phrasing is important, because if you were to tell the general public that St. Jude is launching a meme coin and donations go to kids' cancer research, that sounds insane.
That's right.
But if you say that St. Jude is now accepting on-chain donations for kids' cancer research, that sounds like what St. Jude would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, Because I mean, the rescue, we accept cryptocurrency donations, but like it was such a niche example, I think, that threw me off, that like the unbanked person who wants to donate to charity, which I don't believe is like any sort of a real population. Like if they have to purchase a token in order to get their money to St. Jude, they have the ability to purchase the token. So I'm lost there.
No, that's a good point. But I might want to purchase the token one time. That's my wealth. That's where I keep things. And I would say exactly what you say. Don't call it a meme. I would call it a company token, a charity token. I would call it a creator token. This has been done with creators. Tori was asking specifically in the context of fundraising, and I imagine like to replace Kickstarter. Tori, don't let me put words in your mouth, but I think that might be what you said. In which case, I think, you know, if you can generate the same kind of attention, a token as a solution is better than having Stripe in the middle or Venmo in the middle or Kickstarter in the middle in terms of the cut they will take. They offer a lot of benefits because they give you a platform where you can be discovered. But if you have that, if you have an audience, if you have a platform, a token might be a really effective way to harness your existing audience to raise money. People have done it. I just don't know many organizations that have done it, mostly individuals.
I also, just to address what Crypto Machinery was saying, this is one of the reasons that I have a hard time with like charity with regards to crypto. And what I mean by, you know, blockchain can help add transparency to like nonprofit revenue or donations and stuff. I think the transparency there is important, but people who observe that also need to recognize that running a charity is really expensive. Like if you donate money to the rescue that I volunteer with, I can tell you that 100% of the donation goes to running the rescue. However, not 100% of it goes to the dogs, because sure, Steve is a human being that needs to live in a building and clothe himself and eat food. Mm-hmm. And I'll never argue that some charities have a very disproportionate, you know, donation to utilitarian use case of the money ratio. Like the biggest example would probably be something like Goodwill, which intakes money and then like pennies on the dollar go to running the organization, and then a huge disproportionate amount go to, you know, like executive salary or board compensation. Obviously, that's not what I'm talking about. But there is also then there's a perception on behalf of, I think, the underinformed masses who would look at a charity and think like, oh, well, someone is earning money to run this charity. Like, yeah, of course they are, because it's a shitload of work and people need to live. There's bad charities. I mean, look at the Trump Foundation, whatever the hell it was called. That was technically a charity, and the dude was just buying art for his penthouse. Like,
sure. You know,
there are obviously bad charities.
Even St. Jude and ALSAC, the fundraising organization for them, I think has come under some very well-due scrutiny for the stewardship of their funds and the way that they use them.
Yeah. No, I mean, and to who like Hans' comment about just meeting the standards to maintain charity status too. I mean, even the rescue, he's got to have a lawyer. We've been attacked before, and he had to get a lawyer to like make sure all the books were good and all of this other crap, and that just takes money away from the mission. Like, you know, all of these things. The smaller the rescue, you know, or the smaller the nonprofit, the worse.
Alex, it's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog.
Yeah, sure. But no, I just, you know, nonprofits are not a good way to make money. You know, I'll say that, like, if you run a nonprofit, you're going to lose money and you have to take donations to cover your costs. And that's really the way that it works. And the bigger the charity, the more it costs to run it. It's like people should expect 100%. That, you know, a lot of their donation is going to go to just making sure that the thing taking the donation can actually continue to do the mission.
I guess the ultimate thing I was trying to get at is that using cash to buy Bitcoin to support a charity you care about is such a scaleomorphic way to use crypto. Like, the crypto native way to raise funds for a person, a mission, an organization you care about would be to create a token for that thing and then sell it directly to the people. distribute it directly to the people you want to have a relationship with who want to support that thing. It accelerates the velocity of the capital. It removes intermediaries, makes everything more tangible and also more liquid. So it just seems like a no-brainer to me that I expect to see. And I called it a meme coin because I guess what I'm really meaning is right now we're just seeing a lot of people launch tokens that are best described as memes, like that don't have a particular utility except to put the idea or the story into the hands of the people who care about it. But I think that people will use that same mechanic in very legitimate ways for their company, as a creator, for their cause, to do more crypto native stuff, to build relationships. And then, it's crypto. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it like that before. I mostly thought about it with NFTs. I'm starting to think about it more with the tokens you might call memes. I think we're going to start to see that more and more. I think it will happen with crypto native organizations first. It probably won't be St. Jude for another 10 years, but I think it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my only counterpoint would be that I personally believe what you just described is a utility.
I don't think it's not a utility at all. I think it's scaleomorphic, is what I mean to say. I think it's scaleomorphic. And I think it's like setting up a film camera in the back of the auditorium to capture your play on video is a utility. I don't think it's the same thing as cinematography, slow-mo, close-ups, cut shots. I think those are truly native to the medium of film techniques that can only be done there. And I think they will have more, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think it's scaleomorphic what we do now. And I was excited about the possibility for something new. We usually don't talk past each other like this, where we are on like such opposite ends of a signal. So it's a good exercise because,
Opposite is a strong word.
It's a strong word. I just mean to say, like, when we're communicating and struggling to make meaning together, usually you and I make meaning so well. What do you say? You want to take a couple more rapid fire questions here? Because we do have a great chat.
Sure.
But then I got to ride my pony off into the sunset. I got to do some chores around my house today. What do you think about this one, Alex? Have you guys heard of DAO Maker, meant to be able to track new coins coming to the market? I'm not sure what this question is asking. Are you?
I'm not sure, Brett. Can you rephrase it? Tori, in answer to your question, this might be where I got something lost in translation. I think that anyone who wants to use a crypto to do anything should be able to make the attempt. The gun that I will never not stick to in the crypto space is that the only thing I expect to see from anybody using crypto or blockchain to do something is authentic representation of what it is that they're trying to do. So if Evan wants to launch a meme coin that has nothing to do with anything and is just supposed to be a stupid joke that is funny, and that's how he says it, I would fully support his ability and his right to create that token. If he's trying to tell you that it's the new financial system and it's going to be the next reserve currency of the world and whatever, so buy Evan with hat, then I would have major reservations about that. So if you wanted to use crypto to accept donations, or sell NFTs to accept donations to a charity, or to raise money for something, to forego a service like Kickstarter that would take too much of a percentage of your contributed funds or whatever, seriously, more power to you. Just be authentic about what it is that you're trying to do. That's the crypto space's single biggest issue, in my humble opinion, is poor representation or misleading representation on purpose. So as long as that's not happening, I could not care less what you do. I think the whole point of this is freedom with your money to do with it what you want, and crypto and blockchain provide a better vehicle to do that. But if you do something shitty with it, you're a shitty person. It doesn't matter if you're using blockchain or not. I guess that's it.
Sorry, I breathed in and choked myself. What do we think about DAO Maker, Alex? That's essentially what it is. Have we heard about it? What is it? And I can give some context for other launch pads too.
Yeah, I've never been involved with anything on any launchpad platforms.
Mostly because you live in the U.S.? And it's hard. Is that why? Or other
Yeah.
reasons?
Although even still, you know, being a non-U.S. citizen, I still haven't. I don't know. It's effort. You know, like there's so many things in crypto that just like require you to become educated about something, and I just like don't have the bandwidth to learn too many more things at the same time right now. So I haven't. Earlier, it was definitely like you know, I probably would have thrown money at a DAO maker presale of some kind, or you know, a DAO maker variant if I could have, but I didn't really have the ability to do it, or the legal ability to do it. So
Yeah,
I
if you
didn't.
live in the United States, it's notoriously, first of all, it's just not legally allowed for you to participate in launch pads at this time. You can find ways to do it if your primary residence is in the United States. You can get a Palau ID. You can, get dual citizenship somewhere. You can move. And if you live in other places in the world, congratulations, it's probably easier for you. You would want to check specifically, can I participate? And honestly, the fastest way to do that might be to go to a website like DAO Maker and just see, they have it listed. DAO Maker is compliant. They're one of the most notorious launch pads in the space. I actually just pulled up an aggregator, CryptoRank.io has a stat they track for fundraising platforms. They track current return on investment for like projects launching now and all-time high return on investment for the initial DAO offerings and token offerings they've done. DAO Maker is number 2 on the list in terms of their all-time high return on investment. They are number 1 on the list in the amount of IDOs they have offered on their platform. They've offered 154. They're a well-known name in the space. If you wanted to get involved with launchpads, they'd be a great place to start. The only launchpad outperforming them right now is 0x Bull, which I'm not familiar with. Polkastarter's on there. Pools Finance, Ape Terminal, Seedify. Seedify is another one I really recognize. But there are many launch pads, and a lot of chains will have like exclusive launch pads the way they have exclusive dexes, but many launch pads support projects on lots of different chains. So, check it out if you can. That's honestly a great way to hedge your bets and make lower risk, higher return money in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, but of course, the disclaimer there is that launch pads also want to make money, and they make money on every launch, regardless of whether or not the project that they launch succeeds.
Yeah.
And there is like an implied guarantee of return on a pre-sale investment, and it's just not really the case. So you still have to do the research and vet the project, and buying into the pre-sale on a pile of crap is still a pile of crap.
Yeah. Check the power, align your incentives as best as you can.
Well,
what do you think?
I just thank everyone for hanging out. It was a very I'll toot our collective horn here just a little bit to say that the substance of questions and commentary in this crypto live chat today are on another level, and it's
on another level. I would agree.
It's very cool. It's very refreshing to be able to have like a conversation to a crowded chat of interested people, wherein I have not seen one rocket emoji. I have not been asked thoughts on insert random meme that already peaked here.
I don't think anybody's really called this bro today either.
No, it's just really refreshing. This is what I do this for, because this is like what the space I think should be striving towards, and it's very refreshing. So you guys made that all possible. So thank you. I knew exactly what I was doing the second I said that. So.
Yeah, all the bros in the chat. Obviously this is non-financial advice that doesn't need a disclaimer. If you want to join us back here again, obviously we'd love to see you. If you're new, welcome. Come back tomorrow. We'll be here Wednesday, Thursday. We'll come back next Monday. You can find us on YouTube. Go to the riseupmorningshow.com. Sign up for the newsletter. If you haven't been getting the newsletter, try and sign up again. You might have put the email in wrong. Maybe it bounced. But connect with us. We love to connect with you. We'll be back. And until then, until next time, my friends, rise up.